Sports TV, here with none other than Shawn Porter. What's going on with you, man?
I'm good, man. Been in New York all week, man. It's been a good week of training and all that good stuff. We announced my fight against Danny Garcia on Monday, and now we're here now at the fight. So it's been good.
And that's big news, man. You was looking for that fight for a long time, man.
Yeah, it's been a while, a little while coming, but September 8th.
That's what's up.
WBC champion.
That's what's up, man. Speaking into existence,
yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
What do you think that Danny Garcia do present more difficult for you than Keith Thurman did?
Honestly, styles make fights. You know, I think that's the best way to answer your question. So I don't think it's necessarily me looking at Danny thinking that he's an easier or tougher fight than Keith Thurman. It's all about me looking at Danny and knowing what he can do and stopping him from doing that in the ring. So, you know, I know he's a good counter puncher, and I know he likes to throw heavy shots. So I won't be there for any of that.
Okay. Now let me ask you a question, man. Keith Thurman has been out the ring since the Danny Garcia fight. Do you think that he lost the luster, the hunger for it?
2 big fights, 2 big wins. You know what I mean? Fought me, really hard fight. And I'm sure he needed some rest after that, and was paid well. And then, you know, you come back and you know, not that it was an easy fight, but it wasn't as tough a road against Danny Garcia, at least in my opinion, for him. And of course he had a little injury that he occurred in the process of beating Danny Garcia. But you know, 2 big fights, big checks, big nights, and you know, I'm sure he was ready for some time off. And I think at this point he's taken too much time off to the point where he's just trying to figure out how to get back in there.
Right.
You know? So
right.
I think more than anything that could be his bump in the road right now. What might be just that he can't figure out, you know, exactly how to get everything back going the way it had been up until the point that he had beat Danny Garcia. But I've said it before, man. I expect him to come back and be full force like he was before.
Right. Now let me ask you another question, right? A lot of people were saying that, you know, they was alluding to the fact that you didn't want to fight Errol Spence, or you was ducking Errol Spence. How do you respond? How do you clarify that for
you know,
people?
It's simple, and you know, the short of it is he's not someone that's been on my radar for three years now. You know, there were a few guys that I wanted to fight. I wanted to become champion. I wanted to beat. And at that point in time, when I made those goals, when I put my sights on those guys, he was not one of those guys. So I fought Keith Thurman. Barely lost to Keith Thurman. In my opinion, I won. That's neither here nor there. I got Danny Garcia now, someone else. Really the only other guy that was on my radar. So after I get this WBC championship, the goals start over, and Errol Spence becomes a goal.
Okay. Now speaking of Garcia, we got another Garcia, Mikey Garcia, talking about moving up in weight to fight Errol Spence. You've been a 147-pounder. Errol Spence been a 147-pounder. Garcia, so on and so on. Do you take it as a sign of disrespect that somebody feel like they could just jump up 2 weight classes and just conquer your division?
I don't take it as disrespect for the simple fact that he's been champion. Not only has been champion, he's been virtually unstoppable at this point. Extremely effective in the ring with his pressure, effective in the ring with his intelligence, his adjustments. They're very subtle adjustments, but at any rate, he's been very electrifying lately. So for him to move up to 147 and take on a fight like Errol Spence, he's basically carrying all that up from 35 with him. Only difference is you're in a completely different weight class.
Right.
And no games up here at 147.
Right.
So, you know, tough feat in him calling out Errol Spence. But nonetheless, I do think that he, you know, has been electrifying enough to this point. Undefeated, world champion. You know, he has somewhat the resume that could carry him into a fight against someone like Errol Spence.
Right.
And, you know, we'll see what happens.
Who do you prefer fighting, Spence or Terence Crawford?
I prefer a fight with Errol Spence. Errol Spence in my weight class is everybody's calling him coining him the baddest man in the world. You know, so for that being said, I would rather take on the fight with Spence than Terence Crawford, even though Terence is one of the best fighters out there in the game right now.
Your good friend Manny Pacquiao, you saw his last performance. What do you think of it? What do you make of it?
He keeps coming back. I mean, enough said. He keeps coming back. I don't know, man. He keeps coming back. When the first time he retired, I was extremely happy for him, thrilled for him. Didn't think he was going to come back, and now he's back again. And so we'll see what happens. The way he performed against Lucas Matisse, it did put him back in the talks of being one of the best welterweights out there, and he was for a long time. So I just don't think he's ready for the young blood out here.
You think you'll knock him out? 7 rounds?
Huh?
You think you'll knock him out?
Well, you know what? I don't make any predictions. I did for a long time. I felt that he was someone that out there that even though he was regarded as one of the best fighters in the world, somebody that I could contend with, and I feel like I could beat him. That was 2 or 3 years ago. So I think I more than have enough experience, enough focus, enough drive. The list goes on from there to beat somebody like Manny Pacquiao, who was, up until last year, the year before, one of the best welterweights of all time.
Now, Shawn, I know a lot of people make a lot of your style and they say it's an ugly style, but Paulie Malignaggi said something very interesting. I thought it was very interesting. He said that when you get to a certain level, you just don't want to deal with the pressure and the rough and rugged tactics. It's not that your style is ugly. It's just that as you grow older, you just don't want to deal with that style. It's just tougher to deal with. What do you make of that?
Well, at the end of the day, that's what it is. My pressure, my style that you guys have seen of late is something that guys can't put up with or don't want to put up with. So my style is just as much a physical draining style as it is a mental draining style. So I'm going to get you one way or another. Either I'm going to drain you mentally and make you feel like you can't keep going or you can't keep up. I'm going to drain you physically. I'm going to hit you hard to the body. I'm going to push you around. I'm going to be on you. I'm going to hurt you and drain you physically. So I think me understanding the fight game, me understanding the professionalism that comes along with boxing, sports, all that is culminated into my style. So I'm not just attacking you physically and I'm on you. I'm on your mind as well. I'm on your heart as well. You know what I mean? So it all goes on. It all goes together.
Now, who you think is the tougher matchup for you, for your style, Errol Spence or Terence Crawford?
Remains to be seen. Remains to be seen.
Right.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you, Shawn. Appreciate you, man.
You got it.